Hey everyone, it was round 2 of the British Chess Championships today, and there were a lot of surprises in the games. A lot of Grandmasters got defeated, and some barely scraped through. But I wanted to focus on another Michael Adams game. This time he played an IM called John Pigott. And I wanted to go through this game because Adams just makes it look so easy to defeat these really strong players. In the game, Adams is white, Pigott is black. Adams begins with e4, and we get a French defence with e6, d4 from Adams and d5 from Pigott, and knight d2 and then c5. So we get into a Tarrasch with knight gf3. In the game, Pigott decided to take on d4 with the c pawn, and Adams took on d5 with the e pawn. Now black could recapture this with the e pawn if they wish, but then after knight takes d4, this isolated d pawn may become under threat in the later game, so I don't think black should go for this. In the game, black took on d5 with the queen, and Adams now got on with development, bishop c4 attacking the queen. So here black is actually a pawn up, albeit very temporarily, but white's just got super fast development now. And again, this is why Adams makes it look so easy. So the queen retreats to d8, and white plays knight to b3. So then 3 pieces are attacking this d4 pawn, so white will regain this very soon. Now here I think black should have actually deviated from what they played. They should play queen c7 here, attacking the bishop. If queen takes d4, now black can start developing with knight c6. Once the queen moves, they can develop again with bishop to e7. After bishop g5, h6. If captures and queen g3, we can trade queens, and this is very equal for both sides. I would say white may be slightly better because the bishop on c8's worse than this c4 bishop, and white does have the open h file now. So I think black should have gone in for this. It gains equality really easily. In the game though, black played knight c6, so using another defender to defend d4. But of course Adams just takes anyway, and knight captures, and we trade knights. Black played a6 here, so stopping any bishop b5 check ideas. But Adams now develops actively. He plays bishop to f4, so getting a nice square for his dark squared bishop. And here I think black should just play it really simple. I think they should just play bishop e7 here. If castles, play knight to f6. And if c3, black can castle as well. I think white's in a slightly better position. But after rook e1 and queen b6, at least black's got developed pieces. If queen b3 to defend b2, queen c5, and maybe white can play a4. So here the position is relatively equal. Again, I think white's got a slight advantage due to this weak c8 bishop. But it's definitely better than what happened in the game, which I'll show you now. In the game after bishop f4, black decided to try and take on this bishop on f4 by playing bishop to d6, so contesting the dark squares. But in fact, there's actually a really nice tactic that Adams spots. So he can weaken black's position. Adams plays knight c6 here, attacking the queen on d8. So, of course, if bishop takes f4, queen takes d8 is checkmate, so we can't do that. So after knight c6, the only other option is maybe b takes c6 here. And if b takes c6, I'm guessing bishop takes d6, and this is just really strong for white now. If knight to e7, white can continue with queen d3. After castles and castles queenside, these two pawns on a6 and c6 are very weak indeed, and white's dominating the open d file. If rook e8, white can continue an attack with h4, and if knight d5, just play queen g3 and just start launching this h pawn up the board. Maybe even play rook d4 and rook g4 at a later date. This all is very easy for white. So white's got the two bishops and black's just got a very weak pawn structure. So this is why this knight c6 move that Adams played is so good. So in the game, black played queen c7 here. And I think white now should have gone in for the jugular and just played bishop takes d6. And if queen takes c6, now play queen d4 attacking g7. If knight to f6 to block, now white can just castle queenside and has a major advantage. Mainly due to the fact that black can't castle, because this bishop on d6 is just super strong. If b5, bishop e2 and bishop b7, white can just play bishop f3 and trade bishops, and continue with rook e1. Black can of course play rook c8 and has something, but g4 and preparing g5, I'm not sure what black can do here. Rook c4 is giving us one of the only moves, but after queen e5, again white's just got a super strong position. For instance, if black goes in for rook takes g4, bishop c5 is just really nice, and queen d6 will follow with loads of checkmate ideas. In the game here though, Adams just took with the queen instead, so didn't take with the bishop. So the queens get traded and black takes on c6. So as a result of that knight c6 move that Adams found, black's now got a really terrible pawn structure. The pawn on c6 and a6 are terrible. And after white castles queenside, white's got a major lead in development, and this bishop on d6 just dominates loads of squares. Black tries their best with bishop to b7, but Adams just plays rook e1 and development is finished. White's got the two bishops and he's preparing to get the rooks into the game. Rook d8 now. And this is why I think Adams is such a strong player. He just knows what to do in the correct position. I think I'd be struggling to work out a plan for white here, but Adams just finds it effortlessly. He realises that these two pawns are majorly weak, and so he now starts targeting them with his rook. He plays rook to e3. Black plays knight to f6, and Adams plays rook to b3 and hits the bishop. The bishop retreats to c8, and again Adams plays a really good move now. He just calmly plays f3, controlling e4 and g4 and stopping the knight on f6 from getting into the game. Black tries the best though, plays knight d5, so the bishop on d6 is now under attack from the rook, but just retreats it to c5 and maintains this diagonal and stops black from ever castling. So basically black is a whole rook down here, or it feels like it. So black does the right thing and tries to gain some active play with h5, but Adams just controls the position really well. He plays rook b8 here, and if black say plays bishop d7 here, white can just capture and play bishop takes a6 and just winning material. So in the game, after rook b8, black continued trying to gain some counterplay with h4. Rook a8 here was given as a super strong move for white that Adams could have played, and if h3 just played g3, and black is just struggling for moves now. If e5, then rook a7, and white's got a major threat now, just taking on d5 and using this rook to attack e7. So this could have been played, but Adams is still winning the game. Instead of playing rook a8, he just takes on d5. After c takes d5, now just plays bishop to b6. So black's just lost the exchange. They can't move this rook because then rook would take the bishop. So black just plays king e7, white takes on d8, the king recaptures, and rook d3 is played. And this is pretty much game over now. King c7 attacks the rook, but then Adams just defends with rook to b3. Rook d8 is played, and after rook a8, black actually resigns in this position. I think this is mainly due to the fact that black is just running out of places to move, and it's going to be really hard to develop the bishop. For instance, if bishop to b7, this just loses material to rook takes b7, and if king takes b7, just rook takes rook, so we can't do that. And if bishop to d7, white can play rook to c3 with check. Bishop c6 is forced, and then rook takes c6, king takes c6, and again material is won. So in this position it's really impossible for black to develop. There's literally nowhere to put the bishop. White's also threatening moves like rook to a7 and just winning all these pawns on the other side of the board. But black just lost by one tactic, and Adams just punishes an IM and just dismantles them with ease. So I think that was an incredible performance from white here. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this game. Hope to cover more British Championship games very soon. It's round 3 tomorrow, so we'll see what happens. Please drop me a like, comment or subscribe to the channel if you want to watch more videos in the future. And I'll see you next time.